Hey guys, we got another one of our Discord members with us today. We're gonna be helping to find his personality type. Ben, he's big in our voice chat community, part of that community. Um, Ben, we'll be helping you find your personality type. You don't have to go into anything you're not comfortable with, but please try to be as authentic as possible because we can only find your type if you're authentic, right? It doesn't help you if you're, you know. Um, but can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, so I'm Ben, the guy who pretty much only uses voice chat. But yeah, I love that server. Ben freaking like career-wise, I did IT for a little bit and now I'm finding my own path. I'm not total technical focus and not just like grocery store people focus. And so I'm trying to expand my horizons a little bit. That's why I'm also interested in typology, understand a little bit more about myself and extra tools to find where I can go. And yeah, I love talking to people, love connecting with people, and just understanding the world better too. So,
Okay, okay. That's interesting. That's pretty cool. Um, like what are your best skills? What would you say are your best skills?
my best skills would be active listening, especially if I'm actually in the flow of that. I can pick up on information lightning fast if I care about the information. But otherwise, if my heart's not really in it, if my mind's not really in it, I would say, I don't know. That's kind of a broad question too.
Mhm,
But I can pick up on information quick if I like the topic
mhm,
or understand people if I really want to get to know somebody.
mhm. Okay, okay. What do you think are some things you struggle with?
Well, right now I'm struggling that we didn't say this is Mongolian mindset. I'm struggling here. Okay. I
Got it.
want to hear it at the start of every video. That's
Yes,
that's
got
great.
it. Oh man, you're a funny guy.
Um, yeah, yeah. I struggle like growth points or anything like that. What was the question again?
What do you struggle with? Um,
I think consistency is a big one. Yeah, I can talk about it all day. I can talk about consistency, but actually doing it, eh, you know, that's what I take a little bit of medication to help out with. But yeah, I wish I was more consistent. Yeah.
Push your more consistent. Yeah, I totally understand. What annoys you about people?
Closed-mindedness and not being genuine or just being closed off in general, especially if the vibes are good. I understand if it's like at a workplace or something and you're just trying to be professional. I get that.
Mhm,
But especially if you're at church or something, or you're in an environment where like that's kind of the point. It's
mhm,
just like I really love to see people open up and connect on a deeper level, and so that's that's kind of annoying, but it is what it is.
mhm, mhm. What piece of advice would you give to your younger self?
Uh, that's a big one. Don't think you're all of that, but also don't be afraid of opening yourself up to life. Like make those mistakes and make them early, and make sure you're open enough to where you're making smaller mistakes. That's what I would say.
Mhm. T, anything?
Sure. If everything went as planned, where do you see yourself in like 5 or 10 years?
Billionaire, yachts, every hope. No. Um, everything went right in 5 years. I don't know. I lose resolution the farther out I go, but the one consistent factor would be good people in my life, good health, or not one consistent fact, but like good health, good people. Just those systems and strategies that no matter where you are in life, if I'm on the other side of the world or just those things that will remain rock solid, like you can't go wrong with good people in your life. You can't go wrong with having a career that pays well. Can't go wrong with helping other people or being part of a community that inspires you. So I would just focus on those things and kind of see where it takes me.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Mhm. Um, okay. How would you describe yourself in 3 words?
Curious, Um, Cautious, down to earth. A lot of that seems paradoxical, I know, but that's what I try and ground myself in. Yeah, I would say that.
So curious, paradoxical, and
Down to earth.
down to earth. Can you
Yeah.
explain why you picked down to earth?
Um, yeah. I try and give pointed advice to people. People, especially growing up, they'd have problems and stuff. And I say paradoxical because my mind is always racing with ideas, right? But oftentimes that intuitive landscape, it's a reflection of the real world, right? And so I really like to ground my advice in experiences or like a pointed like, hey, this kind of relates to this, and you can think about it in this new way. And they're like, whoa, that opens my third eye. Like I have some new insight. Like, how did you come up with that? And it's like, yeah, it's just like this thing or this thing, something, a simple analogy, a simple different way to structure things for people. And I don't have to go into all the details, but just like think about it this way. It's like, what? Yes, that works. Thank you. I love those moments. I love those moments. And so I would have moments like that at like church camp or something, right? Where people were like, "How can I think about the Bible? This doesn't make sense. This is too big picture." I'd be like, "Oh, it's kind of like this or this in this situation." And they're like, "Whoa, thank you." So I love those moments. Those are good.
Okay. T, anything?
Um, how do you know whether something is true or not?
That's a big question. And it's too big for my little mind to comprehend. No matter what strategy I implement. Um, but I believe it's possible to get closer to the truth. And it depends on the data I'm collecting, I would say. So it's too general. Are we talking social? Are we talking scientific? Are we talking?
Like, for instance, like let's say you had two separate papers on a specific topic, could be like related to health or diet or whatever. But each the papers point in two different directions. How would you know which one was true or not, or how would you know whether either of them were true? I mean, because they could potentially both of them could potentially be false, as well. So
Oh yeah, I'd see if all the pieces match up. Like if what they're saying makes coherent sense, or if some other piece of information throws a wrench in the whole system or the picture they're building with the paper. Um, Yeah, I like to think that way. But then if it's too big, if it's too big brain for me to understand, then I will go to sources whose like job it is to sort through the information that I don't know. I think that's all I can do.
mm-hmm.
But like I definitely look to see like if one part of the paper makes sense or if it doesn't. Because oftentimes you'll have papers that they're either hyper specific, and so you can just kind of look at it and be like, this component of it makes sense. But if they're super big picture and they're saying something that doesn't sound right, usually you can see if that fits in to what other papers are saying and why they came to that conclusion.
Gotcha.
Okay. Uh, if what would you want to be remembered for?
I think best case scenario right now, it's sort of like the butterfly effect. Any positive, anything, I don't know, like I put a boiler together for somebody, right? I install it in their house. I'm thinking of becoming a tradesman, right?
Mhm.
HVAC or something. Um, that has impacts beyond myself, you know? I don't think other people outside of my direct family are, are going to be holding up a picture of Ben in 200 years, being like, wow, look at this guy. So I'm just trying to think of like what's the most positive impact I can have. And, sometimes that's just daily doing positive, good stuff in whatever small way that happens, because in a wider sense, it'll cause more good. That's my hope, you know.
Mhm. Okay. Okay. If you could change one thing about the world, what would you change and why?
Um, I was gonna make a joke about CEOs, but maybe that's too political. Um,
Oh,
but if I were to change something about the world, it probably would be empathy. It probably would be empathy. Yeah. There was this book, Aragon, I read growing up, and I'm going to spoil the book. It's a good book. You should read it. But how the guy eventually defeated the evil king ruler was that the evil king ruler was trying to like psychically like destroy his mind and crush it.
Mhm.
And the way to defend yourself is to have a strong image of something that overpowers that destruction, right? And the image the person had was of their home village getting destroyed. And it was because of the evil king that had destroyed the village. And so that image was so strong in those final moments, the evil king realized, like, holy, I did that. And there was nothing that person could do because that image was so strong. And then the evil king turned good. And because that empathy finally hit him. And he's like, oh, that's actually what I'm doing. I just cared about the money and power, but someone finally broke through my psychic defense and now I have empathy. And so I think empathy is is a way to make sure that, ego, power, uh, all tools are being used for the betterment of people. I think empathy is the key there. And I think our society is sorely lacking in that. And so then taking that a step back to the CEO joke, the CEO would have had that empathy there. It's like, maybe wouldn't have denied so many claims. Maybe other families that impact their, maybe you could balance shareholder value a little bit better, you know, but that's what that means.
Mm, yeah. What do you think is something that people misunderstand about you?
Um, I feel like they misunderstand how much I care, or they think I'm flippant. I have like two different personalities I mainly go into. It's like work mode and then, more lighthearted, playful mode, like bringing stuff in. And so if I'm in work mode, man, sometimes people think I'm a zombie, and I don't blame them because I feel like it sometimes. Just getting through the day, but I'm trying to change that. Trying to pick a career I'm actually inspired by, but that's that IT life though. Sometimes, and then
Mhm.
other times when I'm full of energy, I'm sipping on some hum and I got some caffeine in my system or whatever. People think I'm just a jokester, I'm just a goofball, and it's like, nah, I care about both extremes. Um, but it doesn't bother me per se. It's just like, I guess an obstacle or something. I don't know.
Okay. Um, um, hmm.
I
Do you
really want to eat this chocolate, but I know it's not right for the vibe
go
because
for it? Go
it'll
for it.
go on camera.
Go for it,
It's
man. Eat
this.
the chocolate.
No, no, no. I won't do that to you. This huge chocolate with cashew butter. So good.
Tea, anything?
I don't think we asked what annoys you about people.
Um, it depends on the person. It really does. I think in the workplace, the big thing that kind of irks me is this uh you have to present this way or it's the highway. I kind of like get with the social program kind of thing. And it's like, nah, man, humans are bigger than that. Like, we should take a step back, maybe go at a more relaxed pace, maybe even training people differently for the role. Like maybe people don't learn through just pure repetition, you know? And so people can kind of irk me when it's their way or the highway. And it's just like, you're too rigid there. But that's everyone to some extent. So it just depends.
You find you deal a lot with that in IT, that it's too rigid. Like
Yeah,
the
that's why I left. Part of the reason, there were many reasons, but that was a big one. Yeah, the structure of that organization, Amazon Web Services, the big company or whatever,
Mhm.
Man, it's rigid. Man, it's you are a cog in the machine and you put your heart and soul into being the best cog in the machine. And so it was, pretty uh dry, gray, desolate, not very inspiring.
Hmm.
But I learned a lot. So there's that.
Yeah. How do you go about learning something new?
Oh, I just researched everything about it. Mentors are great too if you get a good one. Um, you just jump into it. You just take away all restraints, like, all right, jump into it. And then if I really need to know the details, I'll start making flashcards and I'll recall. That's a huge thing. Unfortunately, it's the most effective method, and I hate saying that because it sucks. But recall, active recall, putting it to sleep multiple days. You can watch the Andrew Huberman podcast. I ain't someone special saying this, but that is what I would do if I had to know the details. Yeah. But I like to get the big picture. I like to just get the meso picture, the small picture, everything, absorb it all, have a working system in my head. Just just totally dive into it. But that really only happens if I'm interested, right? If I get that interest with something, I will just rabbit hole type, like I will become that. I will enter in, I will swim through that mental space. But um if it's something like work or something, yeah, usually I'll ask somebody, or you know, I'll have to go through repetition, or I'll make those flashcards in my own time, or I'll just look at the SOP, or you know, someone else will show me how to do it. Like I like all those strategies. Those are all. Excuse me. Oh my goodness, those are all good strategies. Yeah.
So how would you explain your brain to somebody who knows nothing about typology?
Uh, I wouldn't bother explaining it. I if I had to come up with something, and it depends on the scenario again. Yeah. In IT, how I would explain myself to someone in IT, it's like I like to understand the whole picture. I think that's accurate. I like to have reference material, and I like to have people around me that can just let me know what's up. You can cut through so much BS if you know what's up. But how my brain works, I don't know. I like to see the whole picture. I like to connect things and think about things in new ways, curiosity. But yeah. And then I also like to do what works. I don't like to completely throw the baby out with the bathwater. It just depends really on the circumstance.
Okay. Okay. Um,
What's a skill you think everybody should have,
Everybody should have
or like what's an important, or what's an important skill that you think people, should have, basically?
mm, EQ. Um, and I struggle with this too. I ain't gonna lie. Uh, but in this society, okay, there is this fear thought that sweeps over people. And I've seen it like back in 2016 when Trump became president. I was working in a grocery store, right? And then I was still working there as I was going through school, and I saw coronavirus hit. And man, people's grandmas and grandpas or parents would be walking through the store and they'd be like in fear, bro. They'd be in fear. They'd be like, "Oh, this thing, if I get this virus, I might pass it on to my baby child and they might die." And that's your mom walking through the grocery store, you know? And you see your another grandpa in the same store with like his mask like over his mouth and not his nose, like, there's fucking coronavirus, you fucking idiots. I think this world needs to like wisen up to the. And so what I'm seeing, what the skill people need most in this society, okay, is the ability to love one another, to open up and get out of fear thought as they do that. That's what I would say. I don't know if you call it emotional quotient. I don't care if you call it the new thought movement and you just need to manifest whatever. Okay. What I think people need is they need to open up in a positive way towards one another. And that's going to restructure their ideas. That's going to give them patience. That's going to bring everyone together. But that's honestly what I see. Like after 2016, I've really seen that trend in our society in the United States, Pacific Northwest area, where it's like people, it depends on who they are, but they're living in fear a little bit more than before that. So
Yeah,
That's
the
that's a big improvement point for people.
people, yeah, I mean, just with Trump getting elected, but people are like batshit crazy. Like they act
Yeah.
like the world's ending. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
it's
I
like
feel that.
regardless of whether or not you like the person, like the president, the world's just gonna keep it's gonna go on. You know, it's the world's not gonna it's not gonna stop. You know, but yeah,
Yeah.
I definitely get what you're saying there.
And so it's that fear thought. Like if we are in hell, okay, and we might be, but if we are in hell, okay, well then we should support each other while we're in hell. Like we can make this less shitty. I don't know. There is a path to improvement, and it's just people. I guess they get closed off to the world because they've been burned too many times, and it's like, nah, that's how thoughts fester and become something even darker. It's just whatever skill that is. I don't know if it's spirit. I don't know if they just need to like go to a priest or a therapist or just talk to their friends or play basketball or something. I love playing basketball. I don't know what it is, but maybe it's like cars. Maybe it's streets. Like we live in a very car dominant culture and so people are just spread out more. I don't know what it is, but like people need to come together and love more. And I, I think that's the biggest improvement point that everyone could have in society. Biggest growth point. Yeah. Is that making sense or am I talking
Oh,
out of my Buddha hole?
yeah, I think it makes sense.
You're good.
Okay.
Okay. Um. Okay. What are your goals for 2025, man?
2025, I want to stack some cash. Excuse me. I want to stack some cash. I want to invest in Bitcoin. This is financial advice. Invest in Bitcoin. Okay. That is the gold. Okay. And then Ethereum is the copper, the silver. Okay. You want to beat inflation. Okay. Tariffs are coming if you're in the United States. Tariffs are coming. And I mean, Bitcoin, it's a non-inflationary currency. And so, man, I just feel safer putting my money in there. I've been a believer since 2016. I knew there was potential there. I was too young to buy it. Freaking Robinhood wouldn't let me buy it. But yeah, yeah, that's a real thing. Or just straight up buy gold and silver and have it in like a secure location. Like I know people that do that, but like buy assets that will not deflate or that you can just keep those or housing or whatever your thing is. The stock market, maybe that too, especially if you have a 401k or something. But I would say like physical assets. That's good advice going forward
Yeah.
because things are going to get crazier.
Yeah. You said why would you invest in Bitcoin over stocks? What's your thought process on that?
It's non-deflationary, and the Fed has their hands in the stocks, and so they'll inflate stocks or they'll pump up stocks or they'll I don't know they might buy out businesses. They might um I think other stocks are looking better as well. There's like Chinese stocks or overseas stocks. They have actual value behind it. I feel like a lot of like especially the S&P 500 stocks, they're over evaluated, man. Like they're not producing anything. They're just like they got the mind share space, but they don't have the actual products going out to people. And so I like Tesla is a very overvalued stock. Um, but then there's other ones that like they're too big to fail, like Amazon, right? You're they're going to be around if the world collapses. They are going to be the new world government if the world collapses. But you know, it's just too much variability. Like Bitcoin, I really have a feeling I know that it's going to go up. Uh, when it's sort of like when firearm sales go up every president election cycle or something. Like Bitcoin goes up when there's economic uncertainty, and there do be some economic uncertainty. And so stocks might go up or they might crash with Corona because people were uncertain. Oh, I sell everything. It's like I see that and I'm like, Bitcoin, that's actually looking pretty good. So,
Okay.
or
Well,
gold or silver, just something that is not on the whims of people's emotions and their confidence in the market. It's
yeah.
an asset.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah.
totally, I get what you're saying, but I'm gonna hit you. Be ready. What you just said makes absolutely no sense.
Really? Really? Okay. I've had pretty good luck with the stock market. I made 100% returns in COVID.
Yeah, because you
Yeah.
just said like everything that you said about Bitcoin can be applied to stocks. Everything you just said, like your whole like rally on like it going down, doing this, getting pumped up by emotions, is
Hmm.
literally the same thing for Bitcoin, bro.
Oh
Like
yeah, that's true.
so like you can't
Yeah.
so you can't say what you said because that contradicts your whole principle about like put your money in Bitcoin. You get what I'm
Well,
saying?
that's part of the underlying framework, and it's not just that, but it's mainly that.
Hmm.
But like in 20 or I think it was 2020, like the stock market went down because people's emotions were like, ah,
Yeah, but
everything's falling, sell, sell, sell.
that happens with Bitcoin too, though.
Yeah, but I watched the landscape and I'm like, oh, it's going down. Now this stock is undervalued. And then people's attitudes slowly started changing. I tuned into that and then I rode the wave back up.
Yeah, yeah, you do the same thing with Bitcoin. Same
But
principle applies.
yes, it does apply to both.
Yeah.
But then you also complicate factors with like the federal government if they're dumping money into the stock market or the US dollar as well, right? The US dollar, the confidence in the US dollar, that's going down in general. And so, which one's competing for more mind space, like a non-deflationary currency that you can use anywhere in the world, or the US dollar that, it's not going to have as much trade power. It's not going to have as much, like that's what a lot of the stocks are based off. It's the US dollar. So it's like, I,
Well,
if you have to play the stock market, it can still be a good play.
I'm gonna hit you
But
there again because stocks are actually tied to the revenues, right? As the revenues and the products increase, and the share price will go up over time. That's the reason why sh stocks goes up. Stocks will go up, right? Some stocks are more hyped, like Tesla and whatnot. But they're like more, you're betting on the future with them, right? So in the future, you're
Mhm.
saying. Te Musk is going to have it all figured out. They're going to be even more profitable than they are today. But generally, the general pattern of stocks is that over time, Amazon pumps out more stuff. Amazon does more stuff, so the price of the stock goes up, right? While Bitcoin,
Mhm.
there's nothing attached to it per se for it to go up. You get what I'm saying? Like you can actually say like let's say if you use General Motors, right? You can
Mhm.
actually go and say General Motors sold less cars today. I mean less cars last year than today. I'm not buying that stock because they're not selling as many cars, right? So you can actually look at the numbers here, but with Bitcoin, there's nothing.
Well, it's compute power.
You get what I'm saying? Like you have something to actually quantify.
Yeah, but you can quantify the amount of compute for Bitcoin. Um, and it's simply the versatility of it makes it fills in the gap,
Yeah,
right? There is a huge void with the versatility of Bitcoin, and so it fills that gap, and it's not going away because it fills that gap.
yeah.
But with your value with stocks, it's like how much revenue the company generates, how many cars it sells, how many
Mm-hmm.
data centers it opens, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That's 100% true.
Mm-hmm.
And Amazon's not going away. The world could collapse tomorrow. They're still going to be around. So there is truth to that. I'm if I'm going off what's going to pay more, I would say
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
next 4 years, I'd say
If you're
Bitcoin.
going for bang for buck, big like big explosion gains, I would go Bitcoin. Like
I,
if you
I, I'm
want,
s- I'm thinking next 4 years.
yeah.
I think in the next 4 years, Bitcoin is 100% going to beat out the stock market.
Oh
Quote
yeah.
me on this, fact check me on this, be like, this guy was a fucking idiot.
No,
But,
no, no,
or
no, no.
don't.
I'm not saying that, man.
But
I'm
like,
not saying like if you're looking for explosion, right? Um, you go crypto, right? But it's more risky, right? But if you're risk averse, you don't want to go crypto, right? Because you see them like drop 60% of the value. Like over months, right? It will do that. And then people are like, oh, and then it takes like a 4-year cycle for it to get back to that same thing. And then, hey, everybody and their mama start talking about it, and then it's going up, going high, and then everybody's pumping their money in. And then like 4 months later, it drops 30%, and then people are going like, oh no,
mhm.
same cycle over and over, man. Yeah, man.
I'm looking 4 years out. We'll see what happens. But
Oh,
yeah, the stock market's
you're
great
gonna
too. I
win.
love the stock
You're
market.
gonna
Yeah.
win. I mean, Trump's getting in there right now, and he's trying to be the first one to pretty much stabilize it. Which is good. That's good, right? That's stabilization is gonna make it better. Because
That's his, that's one of his claims.
well, I
But
mean,
yeah, like the stock market's
it's
great too, though. I mean, I invested in Nvidia before they blew up because I saw the stock. I'm like, yeah, this stock looks good. I'm in the IT sphere. I see what they're doing.
Hmm.
It goes up, like I'm not adverse. And by the way, you can invest your health savings account.
Hmm.
You can do that. That's actually really, really awesome. But yeah, yeah,
No, no, you're good, man. You're good. Um, I mean, investing, you'll always win, bro. You'll always win if you invest it. Just, I just tell people the closer things are to zero, the easier it is to go to zero. So be mindful of that, right? Closer things are to zero, the easier that motherfucker is to go to zero. So be very, very careful to that. Um, I've
what do you
been
mean by that?
like, let's say if you got like a $5 stock or something, it's easy for that motherfucker to go to zero, right? As opposed to, let's say you got a stock that's fucking $200, there's a lot more, like a lot more at stake, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
in some cases, that's not always true. But generally speaking, um,
Hmm.
you got a way better chance of, sticking around with Bitcoin than you do with some random fucking meme coin, right?
Hmm.
Like, let's say you're
Yeah, I
investing
don't.
in Dogecoin. Let's say you're investing in Dogecoin or something.
Mhm.
I would say that you got a better bet
Dude,
investing in
that's the
Ethereum.
thing though. Like, okay,
Ethereum.
all the shit coins that exist, right?
I don't know all of them
Dogecoin is
because
one of them.
I invest in like a few, Ethereum and shit. Like I pretty much stay to things that are away from zero.
Dude, I have never been interested in buying anything other than Bitcoin and Ethereum except for Dogecoin. Back in 2016, I was like, I need to buy Dogecoin. I know for some reason this one is going to go up.
Mhm.
All the other meme coins, I had no interest. I'm like, this isn't, but this one has the meme potential. I saw that back in 2016. I was too young to buy it. Even when I turned 18, Robinhood wouldn't let me open an account. And so
Really?
Elon
Why?
Musk, oh, Dogecoin. I literally would have been a freaking millionaire if I would have bought $100 of Doge. But, like that's what I'm saying. Like, I do have these weird inclinations. And here's another weird inclination. I'll switch this back over to you. I'm about 60% confident on this, but I'm willing to take the risk. My risk potential is up there. I bought Intel stock because
Intel's
I
good.
think the US government is going to buy them out, or their foundries at least, or the stock's going to split or something because they need those foundries for national security purposes. Trade war is heating up with China. They need to produce chips inside the United States or Taiwan. And Taiwan, that's as much as the US would like to, oh, the Taiwan's an independent country. There is still some uncertainty there. And so they're gonna keep the Intel fabs at least in part in this country. And so I think there's a good chance they're gonna buy them up. So that's one of my other predictions. About 60% confident on that. So
Yeah, Intel is yeah, I mean, you got Taiwan, which is one of the biggest chip whatever manufacturers. Um, it's very important, and I think that's the reason why the U.S. wants to protect their ass so goddamn much, right? Because if China takes that, then they're going to be hurting, right? Because
right.
Nvidia sends their blueprints to Taiwan, whatever, and then Taiwan makes those fucking chips. So that'd be a huge problem for them if that was to happen.
Yeah.
So I see that happening. But man, we're done here,
Yeah.
man. Are you ready?
Shoot, let's do it.
All right, so first thing you said was like consistency is a problem. Okay. I hit that for, maybe there's some SI problem there with consistency. Open up and connect with others, right? I just put that down, just put a note to it. But then you talked about like the community that inspires you, right? I hit that for affiliative. You said curious, paradoxical, and down to earth, right? Mine is always racing with ideas. I kind of noted that for any a little bit there. Ground my advice and my experiences. I hit that for SI. Um, you were talking connections, thinking about it from different ways and like shifting it around. Like if a person is struggling to see something from this point of view, you could easily shift it to another point of view so that they can take it in. So I hit that for NE.
Mm,
Um, you even talked about like your situation in the church, whatever. I kind of put that like community focus, right? Affiliative again. We'll go to other sources to break things down. So you'll go to other sources if you're struggling to break things down. I hit that for TE. Tools should be used for the betterment of people. I hit that for affiliative. Just jump in and get into there. So I hit that for progression. Looking at SOPs and stuff, that's TE. Um, you were talking about the trend in society patterns. We should support ourselves even if we're in hell. I hit that for affiliative. People coming together and love more, empathy, all that stuff. So we got you down for ENFP.
Okay.
What did you type
Yeah.
yourself as? Ben, what did you type yourself as?
Oh, I thought you were talking to Thomas. Yeah, yeah. People in the Discord type me as ENFP as well. I
Oh
think
shit.
it was Zara and someone else. I think it was not PC.
PC? No.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
yeah,
was not PC.
yeah. ENFP, man.
Yeah, but I mean, man, I'm coming to that conclusion a lot, and now it's confirmed, right?
Yeah.
But dude, back in the day, man, I got ISTJ.
We were
Back in the day.
we were struggling between those two, me and Thomas. Me and Thomas
Hmm?
were struggling between the two, ISTJ and ENFP. But it seems to
Okay.
me that you have too much NE to be an ISTJ, right?
Hmm.
So that's a problem there, right? Because it should be if you're an ISTJ, then it should be the other way around. Like you don't have, um, openness, open-mindedness, right? You would not struggle with consistency problems. You would have struggle seeing things a different way, right? So it's kind of like the inverse, right? We were seeing inverse problems there.
Hmm.
So that leads back to ENFP, right? Because
Right.
unless you're like some god fucking ISTJ, you don't look that old, but
I mean, I've been through some life experiences,
that's how.
but like it used to be the other way around, man. Like I used to be just so introverted, man. Like anything new was chaos, right?
Hmm.
I mean, I definitely do think I've grown over time. I don't know
Growing over time,
exactly how it
progression.
played out, but yeah, I've grown.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, that's interesting. What about the interaction styles with that? Because ISTJ, it looked like direct responding,
Hmm.
uh, and that's very different from ENFP, which is
Initiating,
initiating and
informative.
informative. Yeah.
So,
So like, what were you seeing there?
so what we saw was that you were initiating quite a bit, right? You were initiating with me quite a bit. Like you were kind of running on tangents when we got you going, especially when we got you going on the damn stock shit. You were running and going, but the whole time you were kind of initiating here and there. So that would be um, one for a starter. You seem to be um, well, progression is just there. I mean, you just said a whole bunch of progression shit right there. So that would be initiating progression, which means you're a starter, right? And then would you be an SINE, right? Then you knock off ESFP. Then you hit affiliative. Then you got either ENFP or ESFJ, and then you got TE. So then you smack right back dab to ENFP, right?
Mhm.
Um, the difference is you don't seem like you seem to be exploring ideas, man. Like that seems like to be your forte, right?
Yeah.
You talk about potential a lot, right? You kept talking about the potential. I saw the potential in this. That's an NE statement. I saw the
Hmm.
potential in this. I saw the potential in that. Um, and any DOMs are very good at reading potential. They're more likely to bet on potential, right? Whereas an ISTJ will bet on what's reliable, what has happened,
Hmm.
right? They'd be kind of scared to a degree of uh, Bitcoin, right? Because they'd be saying something like if you watch Warren Buffett, he goes in his rant about like buying things that's always been here, like banks, railroads, certain food industries, pack of gum, right? Because those things will always exist and humanity will always use them. So that's an SI, hardcore SI, right? Don't try
Hmm.
nothing new. Stick to the old, stick to the old. The old has always worked. Don't try to be out there and be fancy and get new shit. So we didn't really pick that up from you. We picked up more, I'm with the new. I'm with the new.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think yeah, it does have to be balanced out with what works, but that creative destruction idea, that was a topic I read about in or listened about in the Not Related podcast by Luke Smith. It's this concept of creative destruction and how a new paradigm comes along and yeets the old paradigm into the toilet.
Hmm.
And well, then that's not actually, don't throw away what's working, but like sometimes you do need to throw away what worked for thousands of years because it doesn't work anymore.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, okay. And then I'm also curious, man, I had something on the tip of my tongue, but I forgot it. Dang it. I was gonna ask you about something.
You go for it. Go for it. Anything.
Yeah. Um, I'm also okay. I am curious about. Uh, this is a different question, but it's still something on my mind. But it was introverted feeling parent. Okay.
Hmm.
Um, sometimes I do feel like I'm not grounded. either in reality or just in my thoughts of like who I am or whatever. But like FI parent is supposed to be, or if any parent function of all the types is supposed to be like the grounding point or a common grounding point that like can give more development or whatever.
Hmm.
What would you say that would look like in an ENFP such as myself?
So I think you're kind of experiencing a little bit of that with IT, right? You left IT. It seems as though like it wasn't fulfilling your FI, right?
Yeah.
It didn't fulfill like that. So you're like, okay, I need to leave this, right? This organization and whatnot. It's not fulfilling it for me. So it seems as though you're more say, a lot of time going between NE and TE, right? But as you get older, you're like, okay, I need to find something that gives me this purpose, something that I feel important, something that I value, right? And a lot of guys, like let's say ENFPs or whatnot, will get trapped with with their TE because like it's important to be like successful. It's important to like whatever. So they can really get trapped in their little TE child. Um, but as they get older, they're trying to like break away and want to be, want to help people be more authentic, right? Help people like express their emotions, right?
Hmm.
That's really what the parent function is. It's just it likes to parent other people. That's the problem, right? He's
Hmm.
like tell you it's okay to open up your emotions, like it's okay to be authentic, right? Um, and can it could be a thing there. But you'll see that you have to find something that aligns with your values and your principles, right? But
Hmm.
it can be a lot tougher for men, right? Because the world is so TE, right?
Yeah. No,
But
that's very true.
you
Yeah,
gotta
I was trying to come up with literally any reason to myself, like why I should leave this job. Because I felt like, dude, I need to leave this job. I've been here for 3.5 years. I picked up the skills I wanted. It's very repetitive, whatever. And I'm literally like actively every single day trying to come up with logical reasons for why I should leave. And
Mhm.
dude, I was making money there. I was making money. Okay. I'm doing everything I should as a guy, I'm like in a good environment where it's going to lead to successful career path, whatever.
Yeah.
I could move around departments. I was cross training and all this. Like my mind was totally in it. But then like I just
FI.
like my light was freaking dying. It was just not shining anymore. It was just going in on itself. And I'm like, I need to leave. And I'm like, but why though? And it's like, nah, you just need to leave. And I'm like, bro, what is this?
The FI, man, it comes knocking, man. I what I've seen is like the higher the placement of the FI, the faster it comes knocking, right? It comes knocking a lot faster. As opposed to like an ENTJ or something like myself, it probably come knocking like when we're like 40, 50, as opposed to you, like it comes knocking a lot quicker. With those like, people who have FI a lot higher up. It's like
Yeah. And it
this ain't
came
lining up with
knocking.
my values. Like, I need to help
Yeah.
people. I need to champion a cause. Like, I need to be aligned with something like that. And it comes knocking, like, bro, you're just doing meaningless shit. Like, we can't do this.
Yeah. And it came knocking like the first week or two. I was at that job. But I just like I have to be here. Because I'd went to school for this. I had done everything. Like this
Mhm.
was the path I was on. So like even if this isn't where I'm supposed to be, I'm still gonna do it for however long.
Yeah.
But yeah, yeah. And I would get like I would put my FI at bay by like finding new interesting things and putting my mind to work, but like eventually
Any,
that even stopped working. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Because you can get away while satisfying the hero, but then over time, the motherfuckers like,
Yep.
um, so it's
Okay.
interesting to see it play out in people, man. I do think ENFP males have it a lot tougher because of that TE, right? The world wants you to be so successful, want you to have money, they want you to be, a value of society. So it doesn't really value your parent function as much, but it will come knocking. It will come knocking. And
Hmm.
you will have to listen, you know. It is
Yeah.
what it is. All
Yeah.
right, man. Ben, it's been an absolute pleasure, man. Thomas, you got anything you want to say?
Well, I mean, just to kind of just add to that, I mean, if you were an ISTJ, I think you would just be content to be an IT and just grind it out every day because you could count on the consistency of like being in a job like that where where you're going to be secure and like make a good living and maybe have benefits. Like you would just be okay with it.
Yeah,
Rather
that's why I went into IT.
yeah, rather than getting bored and like okay, I this is not right for me. I need to do something. I need to do something else.
Mhm.
Um,
Yep.
I think ISTJs, I think they're very big on consistency and routine. Just finding like a secure, way to earn a living. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
for the most part, I mean, you might have some outliers, but for the most part, yeah, they just follow whatever's the tried and true, way to get by. Um,
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand if the call has to close down very soon after this, but the Michael Pierce ISTJ revisiting the types video, like that was my bread and butter of typology back in the day. Like I got typed from like a written on sheet in history class, like ISTJ.
Mm-hmm.
And I literally had the Jeff Bezos quote, "Don't get addicted to shiny because shiny doesn't last," or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I went into IT and worked at Amazon partly because of that video. I resonated so deeply with the ISTJ video back then, and it gave me like a grounding in my personality. But then
Mm-hmm.
like it did not fit that image. It was
Yeah.
not
Yeah. I
for me,
mean,
I guess.
I think it bodes well for you, right? Because you do have consistency, you do have your money, you do have all that. But any hero is still any hero, bro. Like you can't
yeah,
really turn that motherfucker off. Like you can
Mhm.
try, you can do it for a set period of time, and I think it's amazing what you've done. Because a lot of people can't silence their heroes, right? And you took a way of like silencing it and building up your SI. So your life is headed in a great, like direction as opposed to somebody who kind of didn't follow that path, right? Like 'cause you have
Mhm.
money, you have all that, so you can kind of pivot and go whatever route you want to instead of like, maybe you have to do some crazy things to make ends meet because you just follow any all the time. So big ups to you, man.
Well, I had money. I'm not gonna say if I have it still, but yeah. I don't know, man. Living in the dark, it has a cost, and so you gotta pay that back somehow.
Yeah,
And that came out in having to take extra time to like have my mental health days and all that shit.
yeah.
But yeah,
Take care of your
yeah.
mental health, man, always, man. But yeah,
Mhm.
I said take care of your mental health, man. It's very important.
It really is. Yes.
All right, Ben, man. It's been a pleasure, man. Take it easy, brother.
All right. Peace
Have a
out, y'all.